this is Mahara Albur Cadiz White, which is 100% Palomino. And if you feel like you've heard of that grape, it's because you see it a lot in sherry. So this is an area where they're making sherry. And this is not sherry, but it is made from that grape. And it actually does have some age on it, so it's possible that it could remind us a little bit, potentially, of some of the sherry notes. But it is not meant to be made that way. It's just 2017, which means it has about 5 years on it. So that normally will give us some nuttiness, potentially some honeyed notes, etc. Things that you might see in some sherry, but not so much like the oxidation and things like that. So cool one. They only made 1,800 bottles, and it's been around for a bit. So we are happy to have just enough to put it in this club and a few for retail. So it's a light orange wine. I think it had a week of whole cluster maceration. So that means that it not only was on the skins, but it was also on the stems. And the stems actually can also impart tannin on it. So that's something to think about, that even if the color doesn't look particularly orange, which I guess it does a bit. Most everyone's classifying it as a white wine, but definitely not. Especially with the contact with the stems. So that could change it. So we'll see what that's like on the palate. And yeah, so let's jump right into it. Oh, and it's, I believe it's only 10% alcohol, which is quite low. So on the nose. Oh man, it smells so good. I love aged orange wines. They just feel really special. So it's so many things at the same time. I don't know where to start. It's like probably the first thing that hit me in the face was peaches, like pretty ripe peaches, almost like the ones like, like those like kind of sugary canned peaches, like the really fancy ones that they do in Spain. But then there's also a lot of tropical fruit, like mango, pineapple, papaya, like all of them. I can think of all of them. On the bottom, it has this like saltiness to it, which doesn't surprise me based on the region. A little bit nutty, but like I'm not getting it as much as I thought I was going to based on how old this is and knowing where it's from. But we'll see what that's like on the palate. So let's try it. Oh yeah. So if you weren't sure about it being an orange wine on the site, it is very clear on the palate, because the tannins, they're interesting, because like they're almost like, this is gonna sound bad, but it tastes great. It's almost like they're like kind of harsh at the beginning, and I don't know if that's coming from the fact that they're have stem tannins too, but it's kind of like this like grippy like and then it like releases into this like really subtle, lovely, long finish. It does have a bit of nuttiness and honeyed notes to it, but I would say that it's still really showing a lot of fruit, which is nice, because the fruit is the first thing that starts to leave as the wine's age. So it's nice to still see lots of like peach and pineapple and other like stone and tropical fruits kind of lingering after. So this wine's super cool, very special. I'd save it for a special occasion. Honestly, it's great by itself. You don't really need to put it with anything, but if you're going to, love the idea of it with like a tin fish tray. Really like with seafood, but seafood that kind of has like a little oomph to it, like grilled seafood or some sort of like baked salmon. But yeah, this is like your, I'm cool, let me have a tin fish cheese tray and open this really badass expensive wine. So enjoy.